All right, we are going to do pulled pork. This recipe makes me crazy. When I got my first big green egg, I would spend 24 hours making pulled pork. By the time the preparation, everything else was done, it was an overnight cook, you didn't get a lot of sleep. Then I got the stupid Instapot, and we are starting this at 2 o'clock. All I've done is take off the meat and rinse it and measured some stuff, and you'll see how quick this recipe is. We are doing this for the kids on the confirmation retreat, which is at the Family Center. And here we go. First thing, you get your pork butts. Some people say you can use shoulders. I think pork butts work better, but I have not tried the other with Instapot, so who knows. The idea is you want to cube them, and this is for the sauteing part, and I had to take 2 parts of the butt to make sure I had enough meat for the kids. So the reason that we're cubing them is so that we're going to brown them, and that we're going to season them, and then we're going to brown them in the Instapot so that it'll make some goodness. And I'll show you when we clean off the bottom of the pot. There's a word for that. I don't remember what that is. If it was for me, I would take that fat off, but that'll be good since it's kids and they're all skinny. We're going to do that, and we're just going to do this. And you want the pieces fairly same size. And remember, the more surface area when you do the browning part, the more of the goodness that you're going to get when you scrape the bottom with the what is it? Chicken broth. So as we cut this up and we piece it, this is really not that hard. You can see how quickly this goes. I had switched to another brand of knife, and I've gone back to my dad. This is actually probably one of my dad's Chicago cutlery knives. You can sharpen these really well. I don't know if I'm allowed to do plugs for people, but I've just found this cut so much better than some of the other products and whatever else, and I can get a nice blade back on that really, really quickly. So yes, I have too many knives. So cut these all up. Now the next part is we have to season them. So while this is all done, I've already prepared everything back here. So we will get this bowl, which was my mom's. I've seen them for sale in green for a whole ton of money. So we split them up with the family. This is another exact measurement, probably about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Maybe a little bit more. And depending on how it smells when we're done, we might increase it. This is 2 tablespoons each of onion powder, garlic powder, and smoked paprika. Since I'm not smoking it outside, I use smoked paprika here to give it a little bit of the flavor of doing that. I ran out of garlic powder. I can't imagine how I did that, but I did. So I substituted the Tastefully Simple garlic. If you're ever looking for some really good spices and whatever else, my sister is a rep for Tastefully Simple, and she has me sort of hooked on the garlic. So we're going to put that in. And then finally, it's going to be like the salt and pepper to taste. I'm going to put that in. We're going to see how it goes. That's about a tablespoon of pepper and I won't brain dead. And salt, sorry. All right, so we're going to mix this all up. Because I have some extra meat, I am not sure, but you can smell the smokiness in this. I'm not sure this is going to be enough. And so the paprika smells like it's good. And the other thing you can do, if you don't want to take the time to make this rub as the recipe has it, and by the way, this isn't exactly as the recipe I found. And the other thing you can do with this is just take your favorite rub or your favorite pork seasoning. I've used the Bollner's or whatever else, or the Rudy's rub, whatever, and just use that if you want to save the time and do this. But there's something really good about this. So we're going to do this. We're going to get them done. So you just take this and you start putting all these in. And I did not get another bowl, so we're going to have to take them back out and put them on here. So you get these just sort of covered with this. You don't have to get them 100% because again, you're going to be putting them in on the saute mode on the Instapot with a little bit of oil, and we're going to then cook them. So we'll just do this, And the idea, see, since we're not going to let them sit. Now I have let it sit. I haven't noticed a big change in the flavor by letting them sit for a while. But it does, some people say that helps. But I think when you're doing it in the Instant Pot, the main goodness comes from just the high heat and the pressure in which you cook everything. So we will be right back. And after I get all this done, because I'm sure you don't want to hear me keep rambling, and we will be at the Instapot set to saute, and you will see how much this is. So just look at how little time has gone by, and this is most of the work right here. Be right back. All right, we're back. The oil is, listen to that. Oil is ready. So we're gonna put these all in and brown them. We can't put them all in. We have to try about 3 shifts to do it easily. And it's gonna take 2 or 3 shifts. So we let that go. We let it brown. I just do it like that. When it's mostly brown, I take it out. I'll put it in this bowl. I didn't even bother cleaning because that won't be cooked enough to be safe. So I'll put it in there, and then I'll take the rest of that goodness off. And after I get it all browned, we will be back. It is 13 after. And hopefully I'll remember to give you the time chunk when this is done so you get an accurate time of how much time afterward. So we'll be right back. When your last little bit is done, you turn off the saute mode. And while it's cooling down, you take your last bunch out. When I started this, I realized I'm doing this for a big group, so I need to give you what to do normally for if you're not giving this to 15 people. So, usually 3 to 4 pounds of pulled pork is plenty. You can mix that, rub the same way, or just cut the proportions down a little bit. You can cut them like in half, and that would work perfectly. And then, for the mixture I'm about to show you, I'll give you different directions. So, first thing here is it's off. So you pour in just a little bit, about 1/4 of a cup probably, of chicken broth. You can use water, but chicken broth adds a nice flavor. I've used beef broth, and I haven't noticed much of a difference. And scrape up the stuff that's in there. There wasn't much this time. There's a lot of reasons for that. But you want to break all that stuff that's on the bottom loose. It's called descaling. And then that's going to be the basis for the next mixture. So the first thing we're going to do is put all the meat back in here. And we put it in. And the Instant Pot is currently off. So we fill this all up. And this is an 8-quart. Remember, you have to watch your fill lines, so I can't use the little one for this, but I usually do it when I do it for myself. You know, for smaller groups, I'll use the 6-quart as opposed to the 8. But for the big group, you need this. And this is not when you come to the cookout. This is, or when I did the pulled pork for a fundraiser, I forgot what that was. This is not the same pulled pork.
Room.
Oh yeah, for Josh's room. This is not the same pulled pork. That was the stuff that's overnight. But I have a friend that thinks he's a connoisseur of meat, and he likes this better. So I don't like him anymore. So then you take this and your leftover sauce that got in there, you dump in. You're done with this. Now, here's the magic for the Instant Pot. Remember, you need this stuff for the pressure. This is what I do with this. Is for a regular. This is 2/3 of a cup of apple cider vinegar. This is 1.5 cups of chicken broth and 1.5 cups of your favorite barbecue sauce. What I do is I put in 1.5 cups of chicken broth, then I put in I've put in barbecue sauce until it goes up to 3, and then I add the 2/3 of a cup, because you do not want to go over. You know, my measurements aren't always exact, but you do not want to go over on your apple cider vinegar. That's the one thing you have to be careful. I just realized that it's settled a little bit, so I'll mix it all together so I don't have to try and mix it in a pot. Once that's all mixed together, put that down there. I don't know if you have to pour it evenly over the top, but I do. I think once this is done, I don't add barbecue sauce to it. I think this is enough. And then we put it together. Wipe the top because you won't need to make sure it seals. I'm going to need to check my notes because I don't remember how long I cooked this for. So when I find my phone, I will check my notes. And again, I use a manual setting. I'm sure there's a setting for this that works, but I use a manual setting for this, and high pressure for 40 minutes. So and of course these are in different places. Pressure cook, and then last thing I didn't hear was lasagna. Take this up to 40 minutes and just make sure it stays on high, because some of the things we do don't do that. Just let it sit. And some people ask me, what's the keep warm button? That's just in case I don't come back in time, which is a lot of times, that it keeps it warm and it doesn't get cold. And then make sure this is on pressure and you are good to go. We'll be back when that's done. Oh, and it took 10 minutes to do the meat that would be usually for a family, and that would be like 3 to 4 pounds. And again, that last mixture we did, if you're doing it in the smaller version with 3 cups, would be, with 3 pounds of meat, would be a third of a cup of apple cider vinegar, and then a cup each of chicken broth and barbecue sauce. And then that's what goes in, and that's what makes it cook. And then you'll see how tender and wonderful and good it is. I don't think it's as good as the 24-hour, but is it really worth all that extra time? We've spent maybe a total of 30 minutes at this point, and with less meat, it would have been less. So we'll be back when it's finished. We are back. This is what it looks like after it's done. It just sort of looks like, well, a bunch of meat. So you want to strain off that stuff. The first few times I kept that to keep it moist, then found out I really didn't need to do this because it is really moist and good. I never really found a use for it. So that's anybody that knows me, I'm not really good at throwing stuff away that might have a use, but there we go. So that's in there. That's good. And we're going to change this a little bit. Bring this over here. All right, so here we are. Meat's dumped, bear claws out. My brother gave these to me a while back, and I'm like, what do I need those for? First time I made pulled pork, I realized what I needed them for. If you've ever shredded meat before with a fork or the old-fashioned ways, you'll realize how quick and easy that this is. So I want to go over the proportions again if you're just doing this for a regular meal. 1/3 of a cup of apple cider vinegar, a whole cup of both barbecue sauce, your favorite barbecue sauce, and then a whole cup of chicken broth. That's what goes in to cook this. And if you look at it, it's really good. See? Really good. I will add, because it's kids this is going for, I will add a little barbecue sauce for them so that they have that. But just, so you just shred it up. Once you get it shredded and close in a little bit, you scoop it up, put it in there to make more room, because if she scans down, you'll see there's a dog patiently waiting for me to mess up and for something to end up on the floor. Alright, some more stuff shredded. Same thing if you do it on the grill, same shredding process. So do this, and keep pulling this toward me so I don't make any more of a mess. And see, I sort of hope when I do this that the kids won't like it, because then I get it back. But that doesn't happen very often. So, we keep shredding this. And it should fall apart. It always falls apart like this. I've read a few blogs where people say, well, what happens if it doesn't shred? All I can figure is, because I even do this with wild pork, wild hog, and I've never had a problem. So I can't imagine if wild hog works this well, that it wouldn't be there. Now you notice I haven't taken the fat out. If it were for me or whatever, I'd probably do that. But there is a lot of goodness in that fat. After you do this, it tastes so good. So, and we just keep shredding. Then they will have all of their other sides already for them at church. So I usually serve these on Hawaiian rolls. And again, I have a barbecue sauce that I make, but I didn't thaw any, so they won't get any. We'll have to do that on a future show, because that's a lot of fun. I have not. Ooh, I wonder if there's a quick and easy way to do that on the Instapot, because right now it is a lot of stirring to cook it down to where it gets to its goodness. And the reason I make my own, even though I like the one that I'll show you today, is I make mine without any HFC. I think the more we can stay away from high fructose corn syrup, the happier we're going to be. So, this is all done up. Goes back in here. Oop, it fell off. Gabby's waiting for it to fall the rest of the way. Alright, so we're going to put this in here. I might shred it a little bit more after I get the barbecue sauce on it, and then we are pretty much going to be done. I will write out the directions because I know it wasn't clear, and put it at the bottom of this post so that you will have them. And then I just find the barbecue sauce, which of course I left out. I don't add much because I really think it's pretty good without it. But because people expect it and kids can quickly turn their nose up if it doesn't match, do that. And then I will just cover it with foil, and it is good to go. So that is the Instapot pulled pork, and that's the stuff I get. You get it at Jeff's Backyard. It's the only place in town I think you can get it. And if HFC weren't the top ingredient, I wouldn't make my own sauce anymore. So, but there you go. Pulled pork. I might add a little bit more sauce. I have another bottle of it, but I think that's probably good enough. Just to make sure. Good. Really good. So, I don't know anywhere else you can get pulled pork that quickly. Happy Holy Eats!